I'm now calling to order the reorganizational meeting for the Northern Lebanon School District for the purpose of reorganization pursuant to section 401 of the Pennsylvania School Code. I'm Attorney Say, the school solicitor. At this point, I'll turn it over to Reverend Fowler, who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, England. Pardon me. I wrote down Fowler and meant England. Mr. England.
So, Sam. Say the pledge together.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now for a moment, stop.
Madam Secretary, can you do a roll call of the holdover members, please?
England,
Present.
Klein,
Present.
Murray.
Here. Thank you. All members are present. At this point of time, we offer public comment on reorganization. We have two opportunities for public comment. There will certainly be one later on in the meeting. The first opportunity is to provide comments on the meeting agenda related to reorganization, and we have a second opportunity for public comment in the primary meeting as well. And then later at the very end of the second meeting, we have an opportunity for public comment for all district related topics. Does any member of the public wish to address the board related to the matter of reorganization, including election of officers and appointments to committees? Is there anything registered?
No, there isn't.
Fantastic. We'll move on from public comment. At this time in the process, we have the list of school directors that are here, legally elected or appointed and qualified. And I believe we also have copies of the certificates of election. So we are able to proceed with reorganization. On your agenda, you'll see the list of those elected or appointed, as well as their term expiration date. In order to proceed for reorganization, we require the election of a temporary president. The temporary president is a holdover board member, so someone who is not reelected and not a new member who runs the reorganization meeting after I hand over the gavel. Are there any nominations for the very short position of temporary president?
Nominate Director Klein.
The floor is open for nominations. Are there any other nominations for temporary president? May I have a second on that nomination? Is there any discussion on nominations for temporary president? Hearing none, may I have a motion to close nominations?
Motion to close?
Hearing no discussion and that the motion has been closed, I would ask that the board secretary provide a roll call among the holdover members for the position of temporary president occupied by Mr. Klein.
All right, thank you. Would the board secretary please read their certificates of election, please?
We're gonna have the board secretary just do the vote first on your position.
Oh.
Yes. Roll call, please.
England,
Present. I'm sorry, here. Yes.
Murray,
We got you.
Murray,
I think I'm supposed to say yes now. Okay.
Klein.
That's all right.
Yes.
Great. We have a temporary president and I will turn over the proceedings to him. You can proceed with the reading of the certificates of election.
All right, thanks. Would the board secretary please read the certificates of election?
Yes. We, the undersigned, members of the Lebanon County Board of Elections hereby certified that after tabulating the votes cast at the municipal election held on November 7th, 2023, the person named below has been elected to the office of 2-year school director at large, and that's Martha Blau. The same as for the 4-year term, it's for Shen Kreiser, Troy Williams, Benjamin Moyer, Rob Fowler, Barry Nam. This was signed by the Lebanon County Board of Elections.
All right, thank you. All right, so now would the newly elected board members take the oath of office and please stand, repeat your hand. Please stand, raise your right hand and repeat after me. All right. I state your name.
I, Barry Hall,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend
I will support, obey,
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge
that I will discharge
the duties of my office with fidelity.
the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you. Congratulations. All right, I will now open the floor for nominations of board president.
I nominate Gary Nom.
Are there any other nominations? All right, hearing none, is there a motion and second to close the floor for nominations for board president? Okay, great. All right, all those in favor of Director Nam as board president, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed indicate by saying no. Director Nam is now elected board president.
Thank you. Appreciate it, everyone. Thank you for your confidence in another year of this experiment. And at this point, I will preside over the remainder of the meeting. Director Klein, would you mind just giving me the script that you have? That way I can make sure that I'm following. Okay, all right. Great, thanks.
We're at the X.
Okay. So the next item now is to receive nominations for the position of vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
I nominate Director England.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to close nominations? Great, thank you, Director Williams. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, thank you, Director Murray. With that, all in favor of electing, okay, so the nominations are closed. All those in favor of Director England as vice president, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, please indicate by saying no. Okay, hearing none, Director England is now elected as vice president. Congratulations. All right. Very good. Okay. At this point then, we have elected our two permanent officers, and just as a reminder for the new board members especially, we have in the past elected the position of treasurer, but last year we checked the school code and our Northern Lebanon policies, and we realized that we could identify a non-director to serve as the treasurer. So last year the board appointed Leanne Martin as the treasurer, so we will not be electing a treasurer at this point. But we will be later on in this meeting, we will be appointing committee members and members that will be representing this board in other areas as well. So okay, well, we'll go through that once we get to that item in the agenda. If you look at the agenda that we have for this evening, the reorganization, item 10 is our board meetings for 2024. I'll just draw your attention to those. Dr. Messinger, do you have any special comments regarding the schedule for this coming year?
It's, I believe, identical to this past year. The only thing that we did was, since we've identified January 2nd as a workshop evening, that's not listed as a board meeting night on the schedule. But other than that, it's identical to
Okay,
previous year.
great. Any questions regarding the schedule of board meetings for the upcoming school year? Okay, hearing none. We'll move to change order committee, and this is part of the function of the president is to appoint members of committees. So members shall be appointed by the board president. I may appoint at the organization meeting, this meeting, or as soon after the organization meeting as practicable to appoint additional committee members. So if we do not have volunteers, or if so I'm going to gauge everybody's interest in participating in some of these board activities, and hopefully, if directors are interested, then we'll just appoint tonight, but we may also table these for the next meeting and have some conversations between now and the next meeting. Special or ad hoc committees may also be appointed by the board president per our policy. And any member may request or refuse appointment to a committee. So just because the president says you're appointed, you have the right, obviously, to say no.
Mr. President, can
Yes.
you approve the meeting schedule under 10, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the 2024 board meeting schedule?
Motion to adopt the 2024 meeting schedule.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the board meeting schedule for 2024, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that. I do see that it says action, which means I need to vote. Okay, so the first committee that we need to appoint is the change order committee. And the change order committee was formed 2 years ago in relation to the new elementary school that we're sitting in right now. The new change order committee will review the change orders that come in association with the renovation of the secondary school. We don't expect that to require a lot of work. Previously, Director Bucks had led that. Director Fowler, you're currently on the change order committee. Do you have a desire to stay on that committee? Okay, great, thanks. So I would like to have 2 more members be a part of that change order committee. And the purpose of that is to review those change orders and then bring them to the board so that we don't have to go over in minute detail every single change order that comes to the board. So anyone interested in serving on that committee? Okay, thank you, Director Williams. Any others?
I would as well.
Great, thank you, Director Kreiser. Okay, so I will appoint then as the new change order committee, Director Fowler. You will lead that committee as the chair of that committee, and you will be accompanied by Director Kreiser and Director Williams. Great, thank you. Okay, designation of newspaper. This is something that we are required to do under law.
Can you motion that one as
Do
well?
we have
Thank
to-
you.
we have
Yeah,
to
because
approve that?
the change order committee gets to meet and actually approve change orders that the board would otherwise come to the board up to
Okay.
a certain monetary limit, and then they report out.
Yeah, all right.
So it gives you legal authority to
My
do that.
first day on the job.
No worries.
Is there a motion to approve the change order committee as appointed by the president?
Motion to approve the change order committee.
Great, thank you. Is there a second? Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the change order committee as appointed, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Oh, and the schedule. Okay. Thank you. It's been a long day. That's fine. That's completely fine. So we'll take a step back. We'll table that vote for a second. Just to be clear, Director Murray, your motion is to approve not only the committee, but also the dates that are set aside. You still present that
Yes,
motion?
yes.
Okay. And Director England, is your second still valid? Okay, any discussion based on that revision? Okay, hearing none. Now we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving item 11, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Yes.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, designation of the newspaper. This also requires board action. This is required by the school code, and we need to have a newspaper of general circulation that we can provide notification. And do you have anything to add?
Just that I don't think it's blank, but I don't know that we have another choice other than the Lebanon Daily News.
I think that's it. And Mrs. Say, there was a bill that might change this, correct? Is
I
that?
mean, there's been numerous pieces of legislation relating to the required advertisements for construction, for board meetings, all of which cause school districts and other municipalities to pay exorbitant fees to have things posted in the newspaper. It has not yet passed, but it's certainly a bone of contention among many school
Okay.
districts who spend a lot of time advertising and a lot of money advertising with smaller newspapers who would otherwise probably go out of business.
Okay, thank you. So as Dr. Messinger said, the Lebanon Daily News is really about the only option that we have. Is there a motion to designate the Lebanon Daily News as the newspaper of general circulation for the district? Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of designating the Lebanon Daily News as the newspaper of general circulation, please indicate with an I or yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Okay, old business. Is there any old business to bring for this reorganization meeting? I doubt that there would be. Okay, hearing none. The next is the appointment of representatives. So we have representatives that serve on the Lebanon County, that should be CTC. Oh, the okay, thank you. So the CTC is down below in item 15, the Tax Collection Executive Committee. The term of office for both members and alternate members 1 year, beginning on the date of appointment. Currently, Leanne Martin is serving on this committee with Linda Kabika, thank you, is serving as the alternative. Is there any discussion regarding that? I would propose to reappoint those two members. Is there any discussion? Okay, then we will do that. I will appoint, I will propose to appoint Leanne Martin and Linda Kabika. I'm gonna get it, Carter. I swear. You've been Kubika ever since my daughter has been in school, and now I've got to figure this out. Kabika. So we will move forward with that on a motion. We'll just take a motion on A through E. Unless we need to
You don't need a
table.
motion because you are the president and you can make this
It
appointment.
says action.
Yeah, it's the action of the president. So you
Okay,
don't have
I
to
am
give away your
appointing.
power if you don't want to.
Okay. So this one, the action is apparently my action. So I will appoint Leanne Martin and Linda Kabika as the alternate for the TCC Executive Committee. Okay. The next committees that we have are legislative representative and PSBA representative. Currently, Director England is serving as the legislative representative, but I understand as vice president, you may not want to continue doing that. Is that correct? Okay. So what we would like to have is if anyone's interested to serve in the position as the legislative representative or PSBA liaison, let me know. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll try to explain this as much as possible. So one of the duties of school director is to be a public advocate for public education. One of the ways that we do that is by ideally engaging our legislators in issues of importance to our district. So it's a new initiative for us. It's something that we've been wanting to do. We want to increase that initiative. So if there's somebody that would be willing to serve as the chairperson of that legislative representative, would be great. Any interest at all? Okay.
I would be interested.
You would? Okay, great. Okay. Director Kreiser, I will appoint you then as the legislative representative. And then PSBA, this is the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. This is just a way we ask a representative to just keep us apprised. We get a lot of emails, and you're going to start seeing all these emails come in from PSBA, but it's really beneficial to have sort of one person nailing down on all those things and bringing those to our attention. So it doesn't require a lot of work, but if there's someone interested, please let me know. Okay, well, I will table that one. I will take a look at that. I'll be in conversation with you all over the next month, I guess, since we'll see in January, but we'll take care of that in January. Okay, here's the CTC Joint Committee. So we do appoint a representative and an alternate member. The director, we need to appoint both the director and the alternate. Currently, Director Klein is serving as the member. Director Klein, are you interested in continuing that?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm interested in continuing.
Great, thank you. Is there someone that's interested in serving as an alternate for that? That would require going to CTC meetings occasionally.
Yeah,
You'll work with Director
we
Klein.
meet every third Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. At the CTC in Lebanon. And the last 5 years I've been doing this, I usually ask the alternate once or twice a year to fill in my place. So the commitment is 1 or 2 Tuesdays a month, varying anything else would happen this year, but that's what you're looking at if you're the alternate.
Okay, Director Moore, thank you. Director Moore will serve as the alternate. Very good, appreciate it. Okay, change order committee has been established, and then the only other thing is alternates. Dr. Messinger, would you talk us through that real quick?
This is new. We talked with Stock and Leader a little bit. We had a couple of situations. For instance, Miss Martin isn't able to be with us tonight due to a procedure, and Pat had an unfortunate thing as well. And on the occasion that they're unavailable and a signature is required, and a lot of times this revolves around the construction things or the selling of buildings and things like that, we may need someone to sign because it specifically says school board secretary or treasurer. So after talking with Stock and Leader, we have the ability to appoint an alternate. So if Pat couldn't do it, Leanne would be able to fill in and vice versa. So they're going to help each other out if we get in that situation. I think really there's only been one time where we've had difficulty, but just with all the construction things, thought we'd cover our bases.
Any questions, concerns regarding that? Okay, then I will appoint the alternate school board secretary and school board treasurer as indicated here. Okay, the last item is information items. These are just provided for your information. You can read. This will typically show up on the agendas where we will ask the representative to give an update on the CTC IU-13 and the Lancaster Lebanon Joint Authority. Dr. Messinger, anything to add?
No, we have meetings, like, for instance, I'm on the Lancaster Lebanon Joint Authority. I mean, there was a discussion going back to, just to give you an example, like when they were deciding whether or not to buy Jonestown, the IU-13, this is the authority that would enable them to have the ability to go ahead and carry out that action. Obviously, in that particular case, I can't vote on it, but Leanne does the Lebanon County VOTEC School Authority. And Director Murray does the IU-13 Board of School Directors.
And the reason we didn't reappoint that is because your term ends in June, so you
Sure.
continue. Okay,
Right.
great.
That's good.
Thanks. Any questions at all before we adjourn? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn this reorganization meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
Great, thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second? Thank you, Director Moyer. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of adjourning this meeting, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
One down, guys. Good job.
Good, okay. All right, good evening. It is 5:55 on December 5th, 2023. This is the regular meeting of the Northern Lebanon School District Board of Directors. I call this meeting to order. I would like to announce that just immediately prior to this meeting, we did hold our annual reorganization meeting for the appointment of new officers and committee members. Those officers have been established, and those committee members, with one exception, have been established. At this point, do we do the flag so that we can just roll it through? Okay. Okay, great. Mrs. Martin, may I please have a roll call?
Kreiser. Present. Fowler.
Present.
Moyer.
Present.
Williams.
Present.
Blau.
Present.
Murray.
Present.
Klein.
Present.
England.
Present.
Nom.
Present.
All members present.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion to adopt this evening's agenda?
Motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Director Klein, second. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of adopting this evening's agenda, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to item 3, presentations. Dr. Messinger. Or is this mine? This is mine. Okay. First two are mine. The high school students of the month for December. Is this a typo? She actually was gonna be here and it was gonna be a great funny joke because she was gonna come at 6:30 for this reading, but the high school students of the month for December are Scarlett Naum and Luke Schaefer. I'm very proud of Scarlett. And this award is sponsored jointly by the Fredericksburg and Jonestown Lions Clubs. Middle school student of the month for December is Brenna, oh boy, Engebretson. Thank you. This award is sponsored by the Northern Lebanon County Rotary Club. Each recipient will be recognized at a future meeting of the Rotary Club. Are any of those students here? No, they are not. Okay, the next presentation is our student board representative, Carter Kubicka. Man, I'll get it.
Good evening. I just want to start off by saying congratulations and welcome to our new board members, Ms. Blau, Mrs. Kreiser, Mr. Moyer. Since it's getting towards the winter time, student council gets pretty busy. We have class wars coming up in the next 2 weeks. We have hall decorating this Friday, December 8th. We have our pep rally, December 22nd. And then in the new year, we have our spring fling, which is March 16th.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great report. Okay.
Yeah, we do have one more presentation. He's on his way from a game actually, and they'll be here in a few minutes, but I'm gonna wait till we get that part of the agenda anyway. Which leads me to my report. I wanted to also welcome our new board members. I am impressed. You got Miss, you got Mrs., you got Mr., like you got it all right. You got it all right. So good job, Carter, remembering all that. Just coming off of parent-teacher conferences and getting back up going, I will tell you from a leadership standpoint, I owe you a summary of our culture study. The chapter 3 culture study was actually on subcultures, which was interesting. You'll get a summary of that. We have a leadership meeting tomorrow where I'll be discussing that with them as well. We'll continue down that path. I did send a video to all staff, including our aides and everyone, right before Thanksgiving with a staff survey, hopefully some reflectiveness there. I know we had gotten some really positive responses from that. And I talked about culture and climate and the role that those will play in our district and what we're looking to move forward with as we continue working on some things, as I said before, that are not COVID, and now we're still doing construction, so can't get away from that completely. But there was a lot of excitement about that, and I think a lot of education, because I think people don't always understand the difference between the two. But we're gonna push on that. We continue to do a lot of walkthroughs. Principals have done a fantastic job getting out and about. I've had the opportunity to do 6 formal observations over the past couple of weeks, as is Dr. Reese has seen a few as well. So we're trying to get around. We're going to go a couple more weeks, and then we'll probably give everybody a little bit of break leading up to Christmas. There are dates on the calendar. Just want to point out that if you want to get to a concert, we have a couple of those coming up, and winter sports are started as well. So get out and get to some of those events. And that's the end of my report. You want to go now, or you want to wait till we get to the wrestling part? I was going to wait anyway. I was going to push it till we got actually to the wrestling portion.
Okay, great. Thank you for the report, Dr. Messinger. Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to old business. Is there any old business to bring to the board? Okay, hearing none, we will move to public comment. All interested persons were asked to complete a written request to address the board prior to this evening's meeting. Individuals would be acknowledged by the board president. I do understand that there were 2 individuals that had indicated a desire to address the board tonight. Do we have any insight?
I believe that I know that there were some topics there that I believe we may have been able to help internally. we're going to continue to have some follow-up conversations and work on a few concerns that were brought. But I think, I do not believe either of them are coming tonight. I think it's, and to be fair, I believe any items of concern are things that, the school board wouldn't have jurisdiction over. We can probably be more helpful now that we're aware of the concern at the administrative level, and we will pursue that with them and try to work on those concerns.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, items 7 through 13, these are the items for board action. Because this is a regular meeting, this is a voting meeting on the items 8 through 13. So it should be noted that public notice was given for this meeting in accordance with Act 84 of 1986. By notice of the president, the following action requires a voice vote. All votes in favor shall be stated with an aye or yes. All votes opposed shall be stated with a nay or no. All members abstaining shall state I abstain when prompted. The votes will be recorded in the minutes as a unanimous roll call vote unless there are any votes in opposition or abstention. If necessary, the president may subsequently call for a roll call vote to be recorded in the minutes. So we will move to item 8, monthly items.
Okay, 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3 are every meeting minutes, student activity count, and cash disbursements that are listed there for you.
Okay, any questions from the board regarding items 8.1 through 8.3? Okay, is there a motion to adopt items 8.1 through 8.3?
Motion to adopt 8.1 through 8.3.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Director Williams. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approving items 8.1 through 8.3 as identified in the agenda, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Move to item 9, budget and finance.
Okay, Ms. Martin isn't here, so I'm going to do my best to explain this, but this comes up every December. Last year in December, the discussion was, we receive an index percentage from the state in terms of budget preparation. And what that index says to us as a district is this is the percent the state will allow you to go to if you decide to raise taxes. If you decide to raise taxes, you can go to this, but you can't go any higher. If you decide to go higher, you have to request an exemption and see if you qualify for an exemption. And last year there was discussion about checking into those exemptions, and it turned out we were eligible under the area of special education. This year our index is set at 6.5%. That's what the state is saying. So what you're voting on here is a resolution that the school board will not raise taxes any higher than 6.5% when it comes time to pass a budget. That doesn't mean you have to raise it at all. It could be 0, but it cannot be higher than 6.5%. That index is higher than I've ever seen it, but we are certainly not recommending going higher than 6.5%, nor do we believe we would we would qualify for an exemption either. So just want to be clear though that by passing this, it eliminates a few steps in the budget process for us. If we didn't pass this, we would need to submit a budget to PDE in January. That budget is almost a guess because of how early in the process it is. Typically, most school boards in a case like ours, there's really no reason not to do the opt-out resolution.
Any questions?
So just clarifying questions. So my understanding is that that you and Leanne have discussed this. There is not a reason at this point that either one of you would be recommending that we would.
You're correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And if you've read the resolution, so essentially what this is saying is that we as a board believe that we can fund the obligations of this district going forward at the current revenue level or at a level that does not exceed the index tax increase. Yep. Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adopt item 9?
Motion to adopt item 9.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Yeah, we'll just take this as a normal vote. All those in favor of approving the accelerated budget opt-out resolution, please indicate with an aye or yes.
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 Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, I also vote yes. That motion carries unanimously. Item 10, there's no items for buildings and grounds, maybe the second time in 4 years. Item 11, extracurricular.
Okay, 11.1 are two trips. It's our advanced oceanography class trip, ecology club to the Adventure Aquarium in New Jersey, which is in January 10th. That's an out-of-state trip. And then we also have an overnight trip, our PMEA Music Festival students that qualify for choral and band. That's an overnight experience for them, which will happen. We don't have exact dates on that yet, but in the spring.
Any questions regarding 11.1? And given that 11.2 is a special discussion with a presentation, we'll go ahead and take a vote on 11.1. Is there a motion to adopt 11.1? Okay, thank you, Director England. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Director Williams. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approving 11.1, please indicate with an aye or yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. And then 11.2, girls wrestling. Dr.
Okay,
Kuiper.
Dr. Kuiper.
We're on. All right. School board, thank you for having me this evening. To give you a few minutes, briefly, kind of what we're looking at in hopes of moving forward with.
Hang on one second. Do you guys have the agenda? Okay. The presentation. Was it attached by any chance? Okay. All right, Dr. Kuiper, I have your presentation and I'd like to display it. Could we take a 2-minute recess so I could email that to Kirk? So we can display it while we,
We'll just take 2 minutes. Thanks.
Thanks. Sorry for your patience, or thank you for your patience. Sorry about that. And of course you got with Google, everything has to have the right permissions. So even me giving it to Kirk, he's got to get signed. It's a thing. But anyway, so this better be the best presentation the board has ever had. Go.
I'm glad the bar's already that high. Honestly, thank you again for humoring me, listening here for a few minutes on this. From my vantage point, to say this presentation and this opportunity is a long time coming in this district, I think is an understatement. Given the stability and the team and individual success that our boys wrestling team has had over the last several years, this seems like a natural transition, at least through my lens. So could we go to the next? So just a little background. And again, I'm not going to bore you with all of these details. This is the quickest growing sport in the nation, and specifically in the state of Pennsylvania. On a slide down the road here, there is a misprint, but out of the 25 teams represented in the LL that has a wrestling team, 14 out of the 25 currently has a girls wrestling program approved. In our section alone, we will become number 6 who will have it. You guys could go to the next one, please. Yeah, that perfect. We didn't even need that second one. So there's the breakdown of sections. We fall within section 3, total representation. Again, that's where I had a misprint. It's 14 out of 25, not 14 out of 23. Section representation would give us 6 out of 7 teams in our section would have a girls team. So the next natural question from your lens may be, what does this look like? If we approve and we move forward with this, what does it look like for our girls this year? Maybe what does it look like for our girls next year? So for this year, if we were to gain approval to move this team forward, I would then go and upload the 11 girls, grades 7 through 12, who have demonstrated interest in this, 2 junior high, 9 at the JV varsity level. I would go on to PIAA. I would upload their eligibility. I would then put girls wrestling as an approved sport. For this year, they would wrestle under the title NL Girls Wrestling, but it would be tournament based because we do not have a girls wrestling schedule within the LL at this time. It would be tournament based. So they would go wrestle again under the umbrella of NL Wrestling, but they would, Coach Wallace and I have already talked. He's already identified a few tournaments that they can enter the girls into, which they can gain potential entry into the PIAA state championship rounds for this year. They can qualify. Now, again, they are up against everyone else in the state at this time. Then moving forward into next year, we would have a formalized LL League girls wrestling schedule. That would be up to the individual ADs of those sections of how they would structure that. So we would have some flexibility, is my understanding. We could hold that on the same nights that we are having a regular boys meet, or we could have a standalone dates on down days or where the boys aren't wrestling, that they could have a standalone meet. I think a lot of it is going to be dictated by flexibility of the site where it's held, but then also how many girls wrestlers will each team have represented within their school. So again, that may become a case by case basis in terms of when those are scheduled, how they are scheduled, and when they are actually held. However, that's kind of what it would look like for this year. And then moving on to next year. We go to the last slide then, please, guys. So this is just a projection. Again, I've already mentioned the 11 girls, 2 junior high, 9 grades 9 through 12. Coaching staff in terms of this year, Coach Wallace and I have discussed, he would, lack of a better verb, absorb them into the team this year. He would split up the duties within his own team to ensure that every single kid, male or female, are being coached this year with the current approved staff. And then next year we would form, and I would work with our business office on having a budget for girls wrestling that would include 2 coaching positions, 1 head coaching position and then 1 assistant coaching position. Those are rough estimates under other cost of what cost to district or cost to budget would be. The only thing we would really be looking at this year, aside from some tournament fees that we would look at, would be trying to get 15 singlets to cover for the 11 girls, and then we have a couple extra. That quote is a direct quote from BSN. I've already reached out asking them, in the event this is the direction that we move, that would be the quote for 15 singlets for our girls to have for this year. So again, projected initial cost and then projected repeated costs, and the offset is the 922.20 there for the initial upfront cost of the singlets this year.
I just want to piggyback. We've been talking about girls wrestling on and off. A couple of board members have brought it up in the past. I've talked with Coach Wallace in the past. I'll be truthful. I think his concern was finding coaches for it. I don't think there was any intention on his part to make this request this year. But when they had signups for wrestling, 11 girls signed up, which led to the question, should we be looking at this now? Without the approval, what will happen is those girls will go with the boys. They'll practice. They're practicing. They'll go with the boys. It's no different than if we had a girl, on the football team. However, when they get to matches, it's kind of hit or miss whether they get an opportunity to actually wrestle, depending on weight classes and who's there and who's not. Am I correct in saying?
So if they were to formally wrestle, they would count towards the boys' points this year. So again, that would be basically, there's no league matches this year.
Right.
It's individualized through tournaments that they could go to.
Or potentially JV.
But then next year, they would formally count towards NL girls wrestling scoring.
Right. And so this is not, I don't know that we've ever done this, had a presentation and voted. And I am completely leaving this in the hands of the board in terms of, because it's rushed. We didn't anticipate it. It kind of happened last minute. However, 11 girls is a substantial amount of girls to at least talk about this. There's a number of things we can do with this. We can vote yes, we can vote no, and we could table it till January to discuss it further. If that's the case, then they'd have to wait till January, if it were approved in January, to be able to put together a couple of tournaments and compete separately from the boys. Either way, they're going to continue to wrestle in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of how much ability they'll have to wrestle in matches and have opponents. So because frankly, I probably wouldn't have entertained it at all, except that it's been something that's floated around, and I've had a couple of different individual conversations with board members in the past. So we're bringing it to you. Dr. Kuiper can answer other questions before we even talk about, but again, 3 options would be to approve it if we think we're going that way anyway, to say no, or to table for January. Other questions for Dr. Kuiper?
I have one question. Coach Wallace would be using his current coaching staff, but would there be availability to have like a woman volunteer to help with weigh-ins or something like that at the tournaments? Just, to be extra sensitive in that area.
I
Absolutely.
To that point, Coach Wallace and I have discussed the construct of the current coaching staff and then coaching staff moving forward. And he absolutely had made the recommendation, not necessarily for this year, but again, I think that's a good point. The idea of bringing a female in to be a part of the coaching staff moving forward. Again, we had not discussed this year, but again, I believe that's a valid.
Or even a volunteer just for.
Yeah, we certainly would entertain if he has someone that's willing to even just volunteer to be here, but that would be beneficial, I think, for the girls.
Absolutely.
Dr. Kuiper, a couple of questions. So Coach Wallace, he's recommending to do this. He can handle the coaching staff can handle is it an additional workload, or they'd be coaching these girls anyway, correct?
They're coaching them right now.
Okay, right.
Mhm.
So just for clarity, if we say no tonight, if we say no altogether for this year, and we put this off until perhaps next year, explain again how the girls would be competing. They wouldn't be able to compete in those tournaments. They would be competing with the boys.
Basically,
Okay.
I don't want to say they would be practice wrestlers, but in
Okay.
essence, they would, because
Okay.
then they would not be PIAA approved. They would not be competing at PIAA tournaments that are recognized towards advancement towards potential state championship competition.
Right. When do,
And
Yep.
just to clarify that, if they were to be the best wrestler in their weight class, though, they could potentially wrestle in a match
right,
and count toward varsity points.
If Coach Wallace deemed that, yes.
okay. When do the tournaments start? Are they starting this month?
He did not give me,
Okay.
I believe he was starting to try to look at January to try to give them as much opportunity to continue to grow, get used. They haven't wrestled prior, at least to the best of my knowledge. If they have, he did not indicate the number who have.
Mhm.
Again, to Dr. Messinger's point, this came as somewhat of a surprise when we did winter callouts. And when I counted, 11, and last year when we did winter callouts, we had 0.
Mhm.
So it's clearly something that sparked the interest of some of our female student athletes in our district.
But to get them registered for those January tournaments, we'd like to have the establishment.
At this
month.
juncture,
Okay,
to provide Coach Wallace adequate time to seek out
okay,
tournaments.
okay.
Yes.
Then my last question, Dr. Kuiper, is we've got $500 for officials for home matches. Are we anticipating a home tournament, that we would host a tournament?
Not at this,
Okay.
not this year, but I believe as we continue to move forward, I believe that could be a consideration that we could
Okay.
look at.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Director Williams?
Well, remind me, how many weight classes are there? Or is it different for the girls than the boys, or do they have the same amount of weight
It
classes?
would not be different. No, sir.
Okay, so are there 11 weight classes, or how many weight classes are there? And then, or you don't,
I believe there's 13. I think there's 13. Off the top of my head, I don't know the exact number, sir. But they would, again, give an opportunity. If Coach Wallace said, "You're my number one at 130,"
right?
then yes, hey, you're it. He could do that. Again, I think from what I've taken from him, his vision was get them out to tournaments, get them competing, get them acclimated, let them go through the training part of this, and give them a chance to compete at the PIAA state championship through qualification at tournaments.
Would there be any sort of opportunity for exhibition matches for the girls if they were not PIAA approved for this year?
So I would have to look into that. I believe that there would be schools who potentially would be open to holding exhibition / scrimmages. I'll be honest with you, in talking to Coach Wallace today, our 9 girls at the JV and varsity level right now, I believe we already have the highest number in our section as of right now. So there's most of the schools are at like 1 to 2 female wrestlers at their school right now. And the fact that we're at 9, we're kind of coming in, I don't want to say ahead of the curve a little bit, but it kind of feels that way. And we're hopeful that that number would grow if this program were ultimately approved.
By the way, there are 13, as you mentioned. I had to look it up. I didn't know off the top of my head.
Like a fox.
To your knowledge, any of the girls this year seniors?
No, sir.
So what happens when we, provide transportation for these girls and they go to these tournaments? There's maybe 30 other schools that are going there. So we talked about the section and we're ahead of the pack. But when we go to these tournaments, there might be 30 other schools there. that means they're gonna have competition to wrestle. They're gonna have other females to wrestle. And, they're putting in all this work. It'd be nice to be able to say, you know what, you're gonna go represent us. We're gonna send you there. We might give you some coaches. I know it's kind of late, but, the demand's there. And, sanctioned PA, this is the first year girls wrestling in Pennsylvania. I think we're one of 2 schools in the county that didn't do this yet. After tonight would be, not last. So I'm all for it. I think we're a little behind. I understand why we were trying to wait for everything to fall into place. But, the biggest indicator to me was, 11 girls showed up, and I think that's awesome. So I'd really like to give them the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions? Dr. Kuiper, Dr. Messinger? Okay,
Thank you,
thank you,
board, for
Dr.
your
Kuiper.
time.
Appreciate it. Okay, then we will move forward. Is there a motion to adopt 11.2 to approve formation of formal girls wrestling team for this school year?
Motion to adopt 11.2.
Great, thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Great, thank you, Director Blau. Any discussion?
Like Director Klein said, I'm ecstatic that we have girls that want to wrestle, and I'm all for a girls wrestling team. I'm just concerned about the timing. That's all I'm concerned about is the timing, and I'm concerned that nothing against the young ladies that want to wrestle, but there's a lot of skill and technique involved in wrestling, and I guess my question is that would they be more discouraged not to be able to wrestle in PIAA matches than to be, again, either beaten really badly or embarrassed at tournaments because they don't have enough skill. Okay. And again, I don't know the girls. Maybe they've been wrestling for a while. I don't know. And they'll do great. Awesome. But I'm just concerned about the timing of it. And, I would, if we were talking about next year, I would absolutely say yes and go for it. I'm just concerned about the timing. I'm not so much worried about the funding. I would love to be able to fund it, but I just have concerns about the last minute of making it an approved PIAA sport for this year.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I'll just say one thing about the timing piece. They came out in the beginning of the season when all the other first year programs started up just like everybody else. So they're practicing now. Just they're going to be on the even playing field, just like, I don't know, I'm guessing other 200 schools in Pennsylvania that started winter sports on the same day. So me personally, I don't think timing is much of an issue.
I have one thing,
Sure.
to say, just because I'm a little more, I know a little bit more wrestling. It's a difference as far as being on a team, like if they're gonna be in the tournaments, it's more of a individual thing than a team thing. But I also like the idea that the girls aren't gonna have to wrestle the boys if we do this. If there's girls that still want to do it and we decide not to, they're gonna be stuck on a boys team wrestling boys, and not all the boys like that and not all the girls like that, but I like the fact that it might even attract people to the school district to have girls wrestling here.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I would say, Director Williams, I think valid points. I think the timing, I wouldn't want to do this on a one meeting thing typically. I also tend to think that better to have a chance to compete, a guaranteed chance to compete and lose badly than to not be given that chance to compete. So I think that's kind of how I would view that. I love the fact that we have 11 girls that want to participate, and I like the idea of giving them a chance this year. My question about whether there were any seniors was part of that. Is there any benefit in waiting a year? Are we missing out on a senior potentially having a chance to compete? And I'm glad to hear that we don't. But even with that said, I think this is a good idea. Okay, any follow-up discussion, Director Williams? Anyone else? Okay, with that then, all those in favor of approving item 11.2, please indicate with a yes or an aye.
Yes.
yes as well. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Great. Look forward to great news there. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Kuiper. Appreciate it. Okay, curriculum, Dr. Messinger.
Yeah, okay, 12.1, just to continue to work through the policies, there's one on federal fiscal compliance, facilities planning, and the gifts, grants, and donations policies. And then the elementary library is ready. Everything has been moved from the old schools and they're ready to do their annual order to continue to add books to our library.
Great. Any questions regarding curriculum? Items 12.1 or 12.2? Okay, is there a motion to approve items 12.1 and 12.2?
Motion to approve 12.1 and 12.2.
Thank you, Director Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Thank you, Director Williams. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving items 12.1 and 12.2, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, my vote is also a yes. Items 12.1 and 12.2 carry unanimously. Item 13, Human Relations.
So
Dr. Reese.
13.1, we have human relations, 4 items to work with there. Judy Gardiaz is returning to be a part-time staff nurse. Jennifer Weiner is long-term professional substitute 1st grade. Andrea Shearer, long-term professional substitute 2nd grade, and extending the long-term information tech specialist Kyle Wall until January 31st. Moving on to 13.2, that's the monthly update to the substitute list, which you'll find an attachment. And 13.3 is issuing or grant tenure to Holly Gates. That's everything under 13. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Reese. Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve items 13.1 through 13.3? Thank you, Director England. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Thank you, Director Blau. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving 13.1, 13.2, and 13.3, please indicate with an aye or a yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, my vote is also yes. That item carries unanimously. Item 14, information items.
Yeah, letter A, we received another grant for our life skills class of $3,000. And so appreciate the continued support of our life skills program. And then we only have one meeting, obviously in December. At this point, we will not need the second meeting. However, want to make sure our current procedure for policies like to give you the opportunity to read it and then approve it and not all at the same meeting. So 113.3, we had received some communication from the Stockton leader. I asked Kelly if she'd like to talk about the changes that we were making there.
Yeah, so there's just some wording changes and you can see that Director of Special Education was changed to Director of Pupil Services. And then there was just one small wording. It's for when parents request an independent educational evaluation. It just gives us a little bit more leeway to not go to due process immediately when that happens. So those are right at the end of the policy.
So you don't need to vote on that, but if you have questions between now and January when we do approve it, you can contact myself or Dr. Bastek Jones to go through that.
Okay, any questions? Okay, moving on to reports. We just assigned representatives. Director Klein, since you are still carryover CTC, do you have any report for this month?
Yes. All right. Last month at the JOC meeting, the JOC passed a resolution to close the adult education programs. They'll be closing at the end of the 23-24 school year. And the resolution was passed mostly due to substantial decline in class course enrollments. Sorry. It wasn't an easy decision. There was a lot of debate at the JOC, but after much debate, we decided that it was both financially and operationally sound to close these programs and to consider our main focus, which is our student programs moving forward. That's my report.
Great. Any questions? Okay, good report. Thank you. IU 13, Director Murray.
Yeah, my only report for this month is that the next IU 13 meeting will be at our home base Jonestown. It will be the first ever IU meeting that I will be able to walk to.
Oh.
So I'm pretty excited about that. Normally it's a drive down to Lancaster and quite a drive at that, but I'm glad to be walking to the next IU meeting. So get to see what they're doing in that new IU building.
So another pitch for the IU 13 representative in June when,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Great, thank you. Excellent report. Legislative liaison, I know we just appointed you Director Kreiser. I doubt you have a report to give. I understand that Director England may have some holdover from last month.
Sure, I'll do a short one to wrap it up and then you can take over from there. Just to note, the PA State Senate process has hit an impasse over the issue of funding scholarships for private school tuition. We've talked about this a number of times. The Senate has embraced the position they won't pass anything unless it has, without a voucher plan, and the House won't do it unless it has the voucher plan. So, anyway, I'm sorry, I think I said that backwards, but anyway, it's not going to go anywhere unless they come to terms. So stay tuned, and it will be an interesting thing to watch this unfold.
Great, thank you. Good report. PSBA liaison, we did not have one, so we do not have a report unless, no, we do not have one. New business. Is there any new business? Okay, I do see that, pardon me. Mrs. Mack, is that you? Did you still want to give public comment? You did not. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, okay, with that, then I will direct you to the dates to remember, which is item 18, and just recall that we do not have a second board meeting this month, but you can see the Christmas concert is there on December 7th. That should be a concert that lives in infamy, hopefully not infamy. A little joke, a little humor. Well, hopefully it's a famous concert. Come on, not even a little laugh. Okay. No, it's going to be a great concert. Apologies for the dark humor. But those are the dates to remember. Again, I just want to say welcome to the new board members. I'm really looking forward to this coming year. Looking forward to the work that we have to do together with the administration. And with that, I will receive a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Great. Thank you, Director Murray. You were the motion captain tonight. Is there a second?
Second.
And you were the second captain, I think. Director Williams, is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All of those in favor of adjourning this evening's meeting, please indicate with yes or an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.